Well, thank you everybody for sharing where you're from in the chat. We've got people from all over the world here with us today, and I'm coming to you from Sydney, Australia. So I'd like to offer you a really warm welcome to our Top Tips for Memorable Logos webinar. I am Jess and I'm from Canva Design School. So I'm a design educator here at Canva, and I'm presenting to you from our new Canva Space in Sydney, which we are really proud to be launching as a hub for live educational events and live webinars, live workshops for our Canva community. So please stay tuned. I'll be giving you some resources at the end where you can find out about more workshops and webinars coming your way. But a huge welcome today. Thank you for coming online and joining me. It's wonderful to have you here. So the session today will be recorded, and I'll be sharing a link after the workshop for those that have registered. And there will be a bit of time for Q&A during the session. I'll be manning the chat and the Q&A, and I'll hopefully have some time at the end. But also we've got some interactive activities today during the workshop. So if you'd like to take part in those, make sure to have Canva open on the side of the screen or another screen so that you can make use of some links that I'm going to pop into the chat. And we'll have a bit of time for Q&A as well while you guys are doing a few activities. I can come back and answer a few questions there as well. So what is Canva? Well, you may know, you may be super experienced with Canva, or you may be still in the newbie stages, but Canva is a graphic design platform that makes it easy to design anything. And you can start doing it for free because there is a super amazing, really great, well-resourced free product that you can use. But today I'm going to be showing you around our pro product. So there will be a few pro features that I'm using in today's presentation. But Canva is more than just a product. We're a company with a really ambitious mission. We want to empower the whole world to design because we want to make design accessible to everyone. We're doing pretty well so far. We've got over 50 million monthly active users, and that's doubling in size every year in every country in over 100 languages. But as our founder, Melanie, says, we're only 1% of the way there. Our vision is to have everyone, everywhere, achieve their goals through design, feel confident to design. One of our values within Canva is to set crazy big goals and make them happen. And we like the idea of sharing this value and helping everyone to achieve their goals everywhere, big and small. We believe really strongly that design is for everyone, and we work really hard to take away that initial hurdle of making designs that you want to make online. So that's why we're here today, to help you on your design journey. So we're talking about logos today, and in this session, I'm going to give you the tools you need to design a logo. And we're going to explore the difference between a logo and a brand. And we're going to look at how to design a logo and how Canva's templates can kickstart your creativity and more along the way. So let's talk about brand. What do you think of when you hear the word brand? Now, if you don't have any specific marketing training, but you know you need to develop your brand and you think you need a logo, what do you think of when someone says, oh, you need to set up your personal brand or your business brand? What pops into your head? Have a think. Maybe pop some ideas in the chat. Is it thinking about maybe colors like Google, the colors that represent Google, or a logo like the script of Disney, or even an icon like the bite out of an apple? Yeah, Cindy says a brand. It's you. That's right. How do you represent you? How do you even go around starting to work out exactly how to represent that? A visual identity for your business. Love it, team love. Exactly. So Apple, Google, Disney, they're all brands that we know and love. Aura says what people think when they see your images. That's right. The feeling they get around your brand. What feelings do they get when they see the images that you use to represent yourselves? But guess what? A brand is way more than just a logo. So I've talked about Google, Disney, Apple as really famous logos, but as you've said in the chat, it's way more than that. It's a lot about the feeling that people get when they see your advertising and your images, your graphic images. It's also the perception. Your logo doesn't define your brand, but it does help people recognize your brand. But as you can see, your logo is only one piece of the puzzle. Your logo is a simplification of your identity. But equally important is your brand perception. So that's really what Aura was kind of saying. It's the feeling that people get when the perception that they have when they see your advertising and they see the imagery that you've chosen. It's the identity, the fonts and the colors that you choose to express yourself through, and the brand experience, the quality of the customer interactions as they go through your business from end to end. A really great example of brand, core, and identity is David Bowie. This is David at his core, and he has a personality and he has values that are inherent over time and don't change. But over the decades, he evolved with the times and the trends and the zeitgeist. So he expressed himself outwardly in a lot of different ways. And that's a bit like brand. At its core, it remains the same, but it should have enough flexibility to evolve over time, from a product you hold in your hand to maybe one that turns into a voice-only product. So I've put together today a workbook for you that's going to take you through working out some brand and then some logo exercises to help you develop your own logo. So I'm going to pop that link in the chat now, and you can just copy and paste that into your browser. If you'd like to join along in an interactive workbook with me today. So I'm going to pop over to the screen. So if you open that link, it will open a template, which is a copy of this workbook, and it's going to take you through a few exercises to help you develop your brand and your logo. So first of all, could you write here, what is the purpose of your business or your company? What's the purpose? So I've gone ahead and also filled one out. Now, I live near the beach here in Sydney, and I go to the beach a lot. And you know what I've never found is the perfect bag that carries all of a family's stuff when they go to the beach. So I'm going to start a company that sells the perfect beach bag. Okay, so I'm going to go through as if this is my company. And the purpose of my company is to make family trips to the beach simple, with a bag that makes spontaneity easy. I want a bag that does all of the thinking for you. It's got all of the pockets and all of the areas to put wet stuff and dry stuff, and it's going to be brilliant. I'm going to be a gazillionaire. So you fill in your purpose there. And if you feel comfortable, please share them in the chat. I'd love to know what kind of businesses you're using Canva for. And I really love it when we have an interactive conversation through the chat. So please feel free to share freely your thoughts and pop in the chat your purpose of your business. So I'll just give you 30 more seconds to fill in that, and then we'll get going. So Aura has a non-profit creating an inclusive community for people with and without disabilities. Awesome, Aura. Are you aware of our package for non-profits as well? Maybe I'll just talk about that a little bit at the end as well. Yeah, you are. Great. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to pop back here. And remember, you don't have to finish the workbook during this session. It's your resource to take with you after the end of this session. So you can just put some ideas in there for now. All right, so you've done your purpose. And now we want to think about your brand values if you haven't streamlined those already. And again, this can take some time. So we're just looking for those top level ideas during this session, and you can refine them in your own time. So your brand values will be the guide that will guide your culture within your company, saying this is how we do things around here. So they should be memorable and they should be actionable. So these are the 3 Canva brand values. We are human, we are inspiring, and we are empowering. So these are the North Star for everything that we do and create at Canva. And when we're making brand decisions, we often come back to these to help us know which way to go. Does it align with these 3 brand values? So in your workbook, can you write your 3 brand values? So for my business, for example, my 3 brand values are that I would like my product to be durable, stylish, but also practical. So it's value for money because it's going to last, but it doesn't look just like an old giant sack, and it's practical. It's going to help with the planning. So see what you can come up with. If you're happy to pop yours in the chat, please share. I'll just give you a couple more seconds, just off the top of your head. You're definitely going to want to refine these. So what just comes into your mind straight away? Okay, popping back here. Let's talk brand archetypes. So these archetypes are based on decades of research by Carl Jung. They were made for people, but they've been adopted by branding as a tool to help you make branding decisions, because there will be a lot of decisions to make down the road. And putting this work in now gives you something to refer back to help you make those decisions when you're not sure which path to take. So these represent our 12 primitive desires and unique personality types. So think about what archetype you want to portray as a brand and work out where do you fit best. So it's interesting using this map because sometimes you might think that you fit in more than one, and you may well fit in more than one. And then you've just got to kind of distill it into working out where you fit best, you know. So I think with my business, a lot of it is about freedom. It's about the freedom to be spontaneous. So I've gone with the Explorer. Let's look at how some other brands have used this. We've got Patagonia, who make outdoor wear and gear. So they definitely come under the Explorer brand as well. Nike are all about elevating extreme human performance. So they'd come under the hero archetype. And Canva inspires creativity. So we are the creator archetype. So in your workbook, you'll have a page like this. So I'm just going to pop back to my workbook here. And in your workbook, you can just copy and paste whichever of these feels most closely aligned to your brand, and you can paste it down here. So I pasted in the Explorer, which is this one. Just copy and paste. I'm about always being on the lookout for the next great discovery, getting out there in the open world. Okay. So the next activity in our workbook is to think about where we sit on the brand personality spectrum. So give this a go. Try and plot where you sit between playful and serious, youthful, mature. Are you mass or are you more elite? Do you come across as friendly or as more of an authority? And are you more innovative, or is your brand more about tradition? So again, in the workbook here, you can move the sliders. So mine being a kind of fun beach vibey product, I've put it on the playful end of the spectrum. It's in the middle between youthful and mature. It is, I don't want it to be too mass produced looking, like it is a really quality product. It's a little bit more on the elite end, but it's still casual. It's designed to be thrown around, thrown in the car. And it's definitely very modern and contemporary. I want it to be quite stylish. So see how you go. Just give you a couple of seconds to pull those sliders around and see where you feel you fit on your brand personality spectrum. Okay, so now let's think about some keywords that represent our brand. And this is really helpful for designing your logo, because when you're not quite sure which graphics or which imagery to use, you want them to represent these words. So let's try and really get some good keywords here. If you think about at least three keywords that represent your brand, try and have one that's physical, so something that you can see, something that is descriptive, so something that you can be, and something that's emotional. So something that you want people to feel. So again, just pop the first ones down that come into your head. For my brand, I chose physical as being strong, descriptive as being lightweight, and the emotional giving you that sense of support and being prepared. It's almost like this product will do most of the thinking for you because it'll be all mapped out and you just know what you need to put in. Okay, so I'll just give you another few seconds to see what you would like to put in there. Feel free again to share in the chat. I'd love to know what you come up with. Okay, and we'll move on to the next activity. Let's talk about actually designing a logo. So in your book, write what your brand name actually is. So for my product, I called them, first name I came up with the sand sack because it's a big bag and it's designed to be used at the beach. So put in the name of your brand here. And if you're comfortable doing so, please pop them in the chat. Let's hear about the businesses we have out there looking to design logos today. So that should be fairly quick. And let's look at the types of logos that we might want to design. So first of all, we have the word mark. So an example of that is eBay. It's a font-based logo that focuses on the business name. Think Visa, Coca-Cola, Google. So clearly typography is a really important decision here because you'll need a font that captures the essence of your business. For example, fashion labels would tend to use clean, elegant fonts that kind of feel high-end, while legal or government agencies would use traditional, heavier text that feels a bit more secure. So a word mark is a really good decision if you're a new business and you want to get your name out there, but you do need quite a short name to make sure that you can take advantage of this design. Obviously, it's not going to work if your business name is really long. So the next one is a symbol, an icon, a graphic-based logo like the Apple logo here. This one can be tricky on its own, but it's effective if you've already got an established brand. It's not a hard and strict rule, but if you're trying to get your name out there, this can be a tricky one to start with. But it can be good if you need to communicate what your business does graphically, if your name is really long, or if you've got a name that doesn't really translate into other languages. So if you don't want to go with either of those, a really versatile option is a combination mark. So this has both the text and an icon together to reinforce your brand. So here's the FedEx logo. Can anyone tell me what is the secret, not so secret really, clever idea about this particular logo? And a lot of people don't see it at first. I didn't see it at first, actually. Ah, Deborah's got it. Yeah, there is an arrow. So here, between the E and the X, there is a little arrow. Here's the very famous logo for this precise reason that it is a graphic and a word mark at the same time, so a combination mark. Now, not all combination marks will look like this. A lot of them will look like your traditional logo, which would be more like this, which is a graphic with a name underneath. This is also a combination mark. So this is really strong because people will begin to associate your name with the pictorial mark right away. So in the future, you might be able to pull away from having your name there at all. You might just then be that graphic logo like Apple is. So thinking about the graphic that I just showed you, can you tell me the first three things that you remember about that logo? So just in the chat, what are the first three things that pop into your mind when you try and remember the logo I just showed you on the previous screen? Any three things? Can you remember if it used any shapes or any colors? Oh, Deborah, color, leaf, and background. So Deborah, did you remember what color it was? Do you remember the color? Hopefully the right color. Yeah, green, that's right. So she remembered the green and the leaf shape, and that there was a background pattern. So this is really important, a bit of brain psychology going on here, to know how the brain processes sensory information. So our brains are hardwired to process distinctive shapes, and then generally colors, and then words actually last. So it's really important what color you choose and what shapes you choose. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So you can think, when you understand how the brain processes sensory information, you can use that as your little toolkit in terms of how you think about designing your logo. So there's shape, there's color, there's font, and then there's that clever graphical idea like the FedEx logo, if you can get that in as well. So let's talk about shapes first. You might be tempted when you first think of designing a logo to maybe just go for a circle, and circles are great. There's lots of circular logos and they're very memorable and very simple, which is another great logo rule. But don't be afraid to go along the abstract route as well. So in Greek mythology, Nike is the winged goddess of victory. And the logo is actually derived from the goddess's wing swoosh, which symbolizes the sound of speed and movement and power and motivation. So you can see here that the Nike tick is actually an abstract version of that wing shape. So you don't have to be literal. You can have abstract shapes. And this makes a really clever visual because it's unique and it's hinting at something, which is actually better than completely showing it. So it creates a little bit more intrigue, which makes it a little bit more memorable. Shapes also have their own associations behind them. Triangles often suggest excitement and growth. Circles indicate love and comfort and inclusivity. So really good if you want to send a message of unity and compassion. Squares convey stability and strength. And straight lines create a sense of tranquility and calm, whilst curvy lines create a sense of movement and change. So here's some examples of how those logo shapes are used in some famous logos. So BBC wants to be very reliable, dependable, good source of quality content, nice square logo. Travel, we've got triangles suggesting movement and excitement, some Qantas logo there, and Airbnb. And then, of course, Target and the Canva logo, both of which we want to suggest inclusivity, designers for everybody here at Canva, so the circle fits us really well. So in your workbook, explore some shapes that resonate with your brand. And I'm going to give you, let's say, a minute for this. So I'm going to put a little minute timer on there. Okay. Hope you found some good ones there. Let's talk about color. So I've got a little quiz for you now. So get ready. See if you can tell me which brand this is. So type in the chat, see who gets it first. Who can tell me which brand uses those colors? Who will be the first to get it? Google, Team Love. Well done. Gold star to Team Love. All right, who's the next one? Who's going to be the next one? Which brand is this? A little bit trickier. Took me a minute to get this one. I have got a clue. Oh, FedEx, Team Love. You're too quick. My goodness. So Aura got that one, Team Love got that one, and Ruby got that one. Well done. Okay. Let's do this one. Which brand is this? It's not Canva. No, but it's a little bit different because it uses a gradient. Instagram, Aura, well done. Okay, so let's go ahead. Well done, that was very quick, Aura. Oh, and May got it as well. And Team Love, goodness me. And Wendy, wow, so many people knew that one. Took me a minute to get that one as well. So colors, like shapes, come with an association. Colors come with a cultural association as well. Now, this is a very Western interpretation. So different cultures will have their own cultural interpretation of colors, but for a Western interpretation, this is how we generally see colors as representing different feelings. So white has that sense of cleanliness and light, green, growth, health, yellow, positivity, happiness, but also a little bit of caution and warning. Red, excitement, passion, important stuff. So brands definitely look at the positive psychology qualities of colors when they think about which color to use to represent them. So if you're thinking about something like McDonald's, for example, they've used those positive psychology, the positive qualities of red being excitement, excitement around the food, and yellow being happiness. So giving you the dual feel good elements around their image and their food. Now, we have an awesome tool to help you choose colors if you don't know how to choose 2 colors or 3 colors that might look really good together. So in this resource, our Canva color wheel, which I'll show you live in a sec, you can access this at canva.com/colors, COLORS. You can use the color wheel to help you choose color relationships. So I'm just going to pop into the color wheel here. Now, if you go to canva.com/colors, you've got a whole bunch of tools here, one of which is the color wheel. Now, you can go super deep into color meanings as well, or look at different color palettes, but I'm going to pop into the color wheel here. And I'm going to choose a color, maybe I'm thinking sand, because my color is called Sand Sacks, a nice yellow color, not too green. And you can use this little dot on the outside here to get brighter or darker tint of that color. So I want fairly bright, kind of orangey yellow, not greeny yellow. And it gives me, because I've chosen here, it's set to complementary. So I've picked a color. This is the hex code value of that color. And this is the color relationship that it's given me. So complementary are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So they would look good together. But there's lots of other color relationships here. There's monochromatic, so different shades of the same color. There's also analogous, which is 3 shades, and we go up to triadic and tetradic. So you can get 4 shades. So I'm just going to do, I think, monochromatic, complementary. I'm quite happy with complementary, actually. So this is a great tool if you want to use it to help you choose colors. I'm just going to copy this hex code. If I click on this number here, the hex code is a way of getting precisely the color I want in a different program. It tells the computer exactly the yellow that I want. So I'm clicking on that hex code there. It says copied. And then I'm going to pop back into my workbook here. And if I click on this big gray box, this is going to be where my primary color is. I'm going to click on that box and press on the color tile over here. Now, if I want, I can just go and choose a yellow that I like, or click in here and find a yellow, or I can paste that hex code in to the box right there. So I'm just going to go Control V, paste that hex code, and it's got exactly that color from the color wheel. And I can click that, and that is now pasted into my primary color. I'm also going to click on those question marks there and paste in that hex code. So I've always got it for my reference. Now, if I pop back to my color wheel, the other color I was going to use was this dark blue. So I'm going to click and copy that hex code, pop back to my workbook, and my secondary color is going to live here. So I'm going to, again, click on that gray square, click on the color tile up here, and I'm going to paste that hex code in there. And it's got the exact blue. So now I know I have perfect complementary colors. And again, I'm just going to make a note of that hex code there, so I can always find it easily in whatever program I choose to use. So I'll give you a minute or so. Let's put a timer on to do that. So I hope you found some good colors there. You can always go back to experimenting with that color wheel and checking out the rest of the resources on that page. Okay, so we've done the colors. Now let's talk fonts. Do fonts matter? You tell me. Which note would you rather receive? I think I know which one I would rather receive. Do fonts matter? Yes, they do. Absolutely. Another little quiz for you. Let's see who can recognize these brands based on their fonts. Now, giving you a little hint because we've also given you the colors as well. So in the chat, let's see who can get all 6 as quickly as possible. Some a little more easy than others. Some we've already talked about today. Even if you can't get all 6, let's start. We can get them as a team. Do you recognize any of those? Yeah, Wendy, you got 3. Well done. You got Instagram, Nike, and Twitter. Yeah, Deborah's building on that. Instagram, Nike, Airbnb, Adobe, and Twitter. So we've got Instagram, Nike, Airbnb, Adobe, Twitter, and anyone get the last one? Yeah, Spotify. Well done, Mazar, and well done, Ruby. Exactly right. So yeah, we can recognize some of those brands just by the fonts that they use. And now it's time for you to choose a font that you would like to use. So in your workbook, I'm going to scroll down to the next page, some typography. So the brand name for my business, I've chosen Sand Sack. Maybe I'll keep that name. Maybe I will alter it, but the feeling around the business, I can experiment with some ideas here. So I've just written out the name of my business here, and you can pop up to the font window over here. And the good thing here is that you get a preview of all of the different fonts and what they're going to look like. So I want something quite bold, like it is an outdoorsy, rugged kind of product. So I don't want anything too lightweight. And also when you're thinking about logos, you don't want anything too fine and delicate, because when you shrink it down to be a small size, it's going to be really hard to read. So simplicity with logos is a huge rule of thumb that you need to constantly consider. So I quite liked this one because it's just kind of bold. This one, Samsara, kind of looks a bit handwritten, a little bit kind of sandy to me, but I can copy those. So you can just copy and paste, or you can press Option and drag and you get a copy as well. So again, I'll give you another minute to have to play with some fonts. Once you've made your decision, I'm going to stick with this one, I think, Aurora. So I've just named my font there and I've changed those 2 A's to represent my font, so I can come back and refer to it. Okay. Let's see what's next. Let's talk about the clever idea behind your logo. So let's have a bit of a brainstorm of what your logo might look like as 3 different types of logos. First of all, a word mark. Here's some great examples: eBay, Sony, Google. And let's see what your logo might look like just using your font. So I've had a bit of a play around with here. I've chosen my logo. Let's have a look. I've started to stack the words on top of each other. I've put spaces between them, and you can have them really big and really small. So just to see how it looks at scale. I find when that one gets on the small side, it's actually quite hard to read. So that's why I'm also veering away from that logo. But just to make sure you're happy with your choice, I'm still quite liking Aurora, and I'm particularly liking it stacked on top of each other, where you get that repetition of the S's. So I'm just going to check how that looks when I shrink it down. And that's still pretty clear. So have a play around with your choice. These were my 2 favorite styles, and having now played around with them a bit, I'm probably going to go for the clearer one. Just the lines on the end of those letters just make that one a little hard to read once you shrink it down. Whereas that one stays pretty clear the whole time. I can still read that. So if you're going to settle on a word mark, try and just put your favorite idea here standing out. I'm going to pull all those ones back, and I'm going to go with something like that, I think. Okay, now what if your logo was a symbol? Have a bit of a brainstorm around what your logo might look like as a symbol. So you're coming back to those 3 keywords that you thought about earlier that really represent your brand in terms of those 3 attributes, the physical and the emotional. So that will help you make decisions here. So let's have a look at what I did in my book. And you're also going back to those graphics that you chose, some shapes that resonated with your brand here. So I had to play around with some of those before, and I started coming up with this kind of a logo for me. So I wanted to, when I started playing around with just sand and things, it wasn't really representing what my product did. You do want people to know what your product does kind of at a glance. So I incorporated the bag and the kind of feel good. It's like a smile. It's fun. It's got that warmth element with the love. But I wanted to represent that it was kind of a large size thing that would cater for all your needs. So I ended up putting some things that were related to the beach, like a beach umbrella or some flippers. Now that might be getting a little bit complicated, a little bit. If I start shrinking that down, I think that might be a little bit complex. And I liked the contrast of the blue representing the water from the surfboard here, the yellow representing the sun and the sand, and then the red giving a bit of pop on top of that. So have a play around with some of your symbols. Again, I'll give you another minute just to pull in some symbols there. So hopefully you've got some ideas there for shapes. Obviously, this won't be your finished logo, but it's getting you on the path towards what you might want in your finished logo, and then what you discover you don't want in your finished logo, which is just as useful to know. Okay, so moving on. Here are some ideas of combination marks. So what might your logo look like if you combine the word mark and the image or the icon? So here are some these are some good logos because they've got that little clever idea element in them as well. So families, obviously you can see what they've done there with the eyes. It looks like a family. So that's a very clever little graphic idea to put in a word mark. FedEx, we've talked about, has got that arrow snuck in there, which gives you, we're on the move. We've got your package going to where it needs to go. And then Amazon, not only are they pointing between, a hybrid logo, exactly, Mazar. Not only is it pointing between the A and the Z, saying that they've got everything that you could possibly need from A to Z, but they've made it a smile. So again, it's got that feel good element in it as well. So have a go combining your 2 ideas into a combination mark, or as Mazar said, a hybrid logo. So I've had a go there. I think I'm going to go with this one at the moment. I might change and go for the simplicity of this one a bit later, but I'll just see how I go. And I've started to combine my logo and my font, and making the logo a bit bolder and the font a little bit secondary, so the picture pops a bit more and the word just sits underneath. So I'm going to give you 1 more minute to have a bit of a play. Hopefully you've got some ideas of some logos that are working for you. And now let's talk about using templates. So you've done a lot of work so far on pulling ideas out of your own head on what you think you want your logo to look like. But of course, if you're wanting a bit more support, then Canva has a whole bunch of logo templates, which you can use as well. So here's a little demo now of how to choose a template and how to manipulate a template. So remembering that logo that we saw before, leafy, here's how we might go around using a template to help us design a logo like that. So first of all, you search for logo as your doc type. You start with a logo document type, and you look through the templates to find one that suits you. So let's go for this one here with the green and the kind of cream colors. And I want that scalloped background, that metal looking design. And so I'm just going to use a frame and fill that with green. So with the frames, you don't have to put just photos in them. You can put colors in them as well. And then starting to think about the spacing, leaving some white space between the font and the graphic. And choosing my preferred font, making it a bit bolder to stand out. And then just making those greens match. Now thinking about the leaf element, I want a kind of organic feel to it. So I'm choosing organic shapes, but I want to be more specific, organic leaf shapes. Here we go, like kind of illustrated feel to it. So there we go. There's a nice hand-drawn style illustration, making the colors match. So going for that cream of the background. So then, of course, once I'm happy with it, I can download it. And it's really useful to download it as a PNG, and you can download it with the transparent background. If you have Pro, so that you can use it, you haven't always got that white square around it. You can use it in lots of different contexts. So let's go through a few design tips. Generally, you want to always avoid cliches. Don't give in to the general cliches of your industry. Imagine you're a dentist. Does that mean that your logo has to have a tooth in it? No, it doesn't. Your logo doesn't have to have a tooth in it. So try not to go down those cliches that are going to really make your brand look the same as everybody else's brand. But on the flip side, don't follow design trends, because then in 10 years, your logo is going to look quite dated. So make sure that your logo, as much as possible, is going to look good in 10 years from now, and be as good as it looks today. Stick with simple ideas that tie back to your brand's message and will be easy to understand forever. So keep your logo design simple. I think this is like, if there's one rule that you really remember from today's workshop, it's simplicity. Logos should never be complicated. Your logo should convey your brand's message in milliseconds. And if it can't do that, there are too many bells and whistles on your logo and you need to strip it down. So one way to tell if your logo does have too many bells and whistles is to see if it scales. So you've got to imagine that your logo will look as good on a pen or a business card as it would on a billboard. So is your logo scalable? It's difficult to see details when your logo is scaled down, but realistically, this is probably when your logo is going to be used most of all. So test your logo at different sizes, and if it isn't understandable, delete details as necessary. So in your workbook, you have a little page dedicated to scaling your logo. So if we pop over to, I'm going to pop down to, is it scalable here? Grab your logo, group it, so you can get all of the items like this, and you can't see the white on there at the moment, but I know it's there in that box. I'm going to draw a square around all of them. Actually, I'm just going to center that box first. It's moving around, it's so small. There we go. And I'm just going to group those items together. Oh, I've selected too many things there. I'll have to do it down on my t-shirt. So I'm just selecting them all, moving them down, and then scale them so that they fit on the different products here. So on a pen, on a business card, and on a t-shirt, and see how they look at the different scales. Can you still tell what they are at those different sizes? So I'll give you another minute or so to have a play around with those, starting the timer. Let me know if you have any questions so far. A few questions have come through in the Q&A, but hopefully that's fairly straightforward for you. And then it's really important to get some feedback on your logo. So to you, ask yourself these questions first, and then go and show your logo to other people and ask them these questions as well. Does it support your brand objectives? Can you tell what it does in 2 seconds? So show someone your logo. Do they immediately understand what kind of business your business is? And then does it differentiate your business from similar organizations doing a similar thing? So does it have that point of difference? So see if you can get that feedback from a few people, 5 or more people, to help you make your logo design even better. There are a few resources that we have that I would love to share with you now. If there's no other questions, do feel free to pop those questions in the chat. I know we've got a few people who've joined a little bit late, so I'm just going to pop the link to the workbook in the chat again, in case you missed that earlier. Here is the link to the workbook. You can work through that in your own time. You just need to paste that link into your browser and you'll get your own version of this workbook to take you through the process of designing a logo. So some of the resources I would like to show you, I have on my tabs over here. So number 1, we've already been through the color wheel. So that is canva.com/colors. Today, this workshop has been brought to you from Canva Space. This is our new space at Canva, which is the home of live educational workshops, webinars, and events. There's loads more educational live content coming your way, loads more workshops and webinars every week and every month. So please check out this page, canva.com/Canva Space. And I'm just going to pop that link into the chat as well. So you can copy that and save that for later. Because if you scroll down here and you click on live webinars, there are, oops, I just went to the page before. There are loads of live webinars coming up that you can book into, just like this one. So go ahead and have a look at those. Another page I'd like to direct you towards is this one, which is canva.com/business resources. So here, there are loads of templates to get your business up and running really fast. So I'll just go and have a quick look at this one. And you can see that there are lots and lots of template kits here. So depending on what your business does, if you have a gym, there's a gym toolkit, or a healthy food toolkit, restaurant toolkit, and there's another whole page of them here if you go through that forward button there. Fitness, vet clinic, life coaching, and even if your business is not labeled here specifically, you can adapt any of these templates. So you've got your socials templates, you've got physical leaflet templates, and all of the things that you could possibly need to get going quite quickly here. Business and marketing templates. So that is canva.com/business resources, which is another site to keep an eye on. Then, of course, we have the amazing Design School. So Canva Space is your home for live webinars like this one that you can come and attend in person and have live Q&A. Design School has so much educational content that you can dip into at any time. So we've got some courses here, and these are asynchronous, meaning you can pop in and out of them and do them online whenever you have the time, fit them into your life. And then we've got little tutorials where you can actually do practices in the browser as well. And then down the bottom here, we've got links to our live events. So that is designschool.canva.com. So I'm just going to pop that in the chat. Oh, yeah, put the business link in the chat from Aura. Yep, absolutely. So that is Design School. And the other one is this one, Aura, which is canva.com/business courses. So I'm just going to put that in. canva.com/business-resources. There you go. So definitely make use of that as well. And then lastly, if you're not already a member of our community, we have lots of online communities, including Design Circle, which is on Facebook. So if you're not a member of Design Circle already and you are on Facebook, please come and find us here, Design Circle, and you can come and join. And there's always loads and loads of ideas and tips and information sharing going on this page. So Design Circle is a really, really fun place to come if you love Canva like we do. Lastly, we are, as I said, making new educational content all the time, and it would be really, really helpful if you could give some feedback using this form. So I'm going to pop the link in the chat. It's literally 1 minute. There's just about 3 or 4 questions. Or you can use the QR code there if you just want to quickly do it on your phone, to let us know what you thought of this workshop. And if there are any other topics that you would love to see workshops on, this is your chance to have a say, because we want to create content that you as our community find really useful. So please give us your thoughts in this very quick form. I'd really appreciate it. And I'd love to make content that's going to be as useful as possible to our community. So what would you like to learn? So that's it. That's the wrap up for today. I will say thank you here very quickly, but then I'm going to go back to this slide. So you've got that QR code if you'd like to use it quickly before the end of the workshop. If you have any final questions, please pop them into the chat. It's been so lovely having you here for the workshop today, and I really hope that we meet again in a future workshop.